Here we are again, girlfriend.
Yes, we are.
That's what I'm talking about. I love our show, don't you?
I do too. It's wonderful.
And what about the time of year?
It's excellent. It's starting to cool off. I'm starting to enjoy fall a lot more in my older age, I would say, I guess.
It's always been my favorite time of the year.
But things are starting to change. The leaves are starting to change. Some leaves are starting to fall. So it's real interesting to see what kind of winter we're going to have.
Well, let's not push it too far.
No.
Let's just wait for winter when
I want to enjoy fall as long as I can.
And we're very blessed up here. We normally have wonderful long falls with the trees because we live in trees, even though it's Arizona.
Right.
We're in high country where we have a lot of trees and pine and wonderful foliage around us that does change with the fall colors, which I like the cooler weather.
Well, the wonderful thing about Prescott is we do experience all 4 seasons.
Right.
Just the really mild version of it.
Right. No extremes.
So, nothing extreme. So we get a taste of it all.
Except for this summer. I was not prepared for this summer. It took forever, I thought, to start cooling off even for our nights and mornings, which are pretty chilly now. I've actually woken up a few times thinking, geez, I got to put some extra blankets on the bed, you know. But what I've noticed here lately is all the people I'm running into that don't have any common sense.
Oh, my goodness. Don't even get me started on common sense.
Oh, let's get started. Let's talk about common sense. One of the things I appreciate about you and a couple of my other friends is that they're down-to-earth, common sense type people.
Well, and logic and common sense, I would think, would be one and the same, but
They're
that's
not.
something that that would be something that you would think people would be naturally attuned to, or whatever the case may be. But my grandfather had passed away this last week, and I was waiting for a phone call because Zarek had shipped out to the Marines September 11th.
Zarek being Onea's son.
My oldest son. And my grandfather passed the next day. And I was waiting for a phone call from my son. So I've been picking up all the phone calls that I get because I usually try to scan those. And the salesman's called and I said, can I stop you right there? And can you call me back at a later date? I'm finishing up a funeral, basically. And he said, oh, are you sure?
Are you sure that you were at a funeral?
Are you sure you don't want to stay on for the great, wonderful deals that I can offer you right now?
The sales pitch?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That was so aggravating to me, and I find that the customer service is lacking
completely
in logic and common sense. And I've run into a few situations where people don't even stop and listen to what you're saying.
But you said, I'm at a funeral, and he said, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Wow.
Well, I proceeded to tell him how sure I was.
That's extreme.
Yeah, so
that's pretty bad.
And I'm pretty patient. I'm a pretty patient person. When I am in an emotional state, I don't tend to be so
I agree with you, though,
patient.
for anyone to even say that is, that's just beyond even
but there
common
are
sense.
just other
just
things.
Downright rude.
Just other things, too. Customer service.
Terrible.
We've run into a few times going out to lunch. Or, just stop and listen and hear.
I'm going to get this hair out of your face.
Thank you.
Okay?
I'll help you if you need to.
Yeah, you help my hair and I'll help your hair.
But just stop and listen. Listen and hear what your people are saying to you.
Well, I had a whole myriad of things on people without having good common sense. But right now I'm not thinking of any that I feel like want to discuss on the air. But you and I've talked about when we've had situations really how bad it is. But I have to admit, Onea, that one was pretty bad.
That one topped it. that one topped it, yeah.
And I am sorry to hear about your grandfather.
Thank you. It just like my son leaving and my grandfather passing, we were both expecting both things. But they left within 24 hours of each other, so I didn't feel like I had much of a break last week. But
no, and didn't you tell me that you had a little dream about your grandfather's leaving and passing on prior to his departure?
Right, yeah. And it's amazing how you kind of get those dreams or those premonitions or whatever. And it was shortly after that he had passed.
Well, and which actually is a good topic for our show today, where we can talk about dreams, because I do a little bit of that in my classes.
It's amazing to know if there's messages in dreams, because I know I'll have dreams and it will startle me, or it will resonate with me so deeply the next morning, and I would wonder what the meaning is to it, or if it was just bad Chinese food the night before,
or a combination of the two.
Or both.
Dreams are actually a wonderful, wonderful tool that we have to help guide us. But there are 7 different types of dreams that I talk about. There might be many more that I'm not aware of, but 7 different types that I am aware of. But they're a tool to help guide you.
Okay.
To let you know what's going on in your life, and absolutely often will give you solutions to problems. Should we talk about them?
I would love to talk about dreams. And I'm sure our viewers would be fascinated by the topic because
we are.
Exactly. So what else matters?
We are, yeah. What
we
the
must
heck,
be
we're
too.
done. Well, the 7 different types are the most common, is what I refer to as the soap opera dream.
Okay.
Okay.
Go into some sort of detail.
Well, like, how you watch a soap opera and you haven't watched it in 5 years, and then turn it on and it's still talking about the same
and
thing.
it picks up right where you left off, or it's
exactly.
Okay.
So basically, what I call the normal, every night kind of a dream, the soap opera dream, is what you've heard that day, what you've talked about, what you've seen that day, what's on your mind.
Watching news the night before,
exactly,
and incorporating it into your dreams.
Right.
Okay.
And so the mind is continuing to role play, more or less, what's going on, what you heard about.
Okay.
Then we have what I call the subconscious is trying to get a message through to the conscious mind. And often if there's a situation that's troubling you, it will try to give you a solution.
Okay. Or
a warning about something.
Okay.
A dream can warn a person up to 7 weeks ahead of time about an oncoming illness.
Okay. And so that would be a good reason to journal your dreams.
Okay. And, it's an excellent reason to journal. We'll talk about journaling. But one of the things I wanted to say is, if you have a repetitious dream, like you're dreaming the same dream for years or over and over, that is the subconscious desperately trying to get a message through to the conscious mind, and it will keep repeating until you either figure it out, somehow you change something you're doing in your life without you even realizing it, or you get it.
I've definitely experienced that, yes, in my life.
Like what?
I would have this repeating dream as a little girl that these 2 men were trying to lure me, and it never felt right. I was in the distance and they were in the shadow. And when I realized what the dream was, I was in a mall and I was lost, and I was about 8, 9, and 2 men were standing in the elevator trying to have me come into the elevator, and I had that gut feeling not to do it, and I shook my head no, and I instantly never had that dream again.
When you resisted it.
When I resisted it, and I didn't, as even a young girl, knowing that wasn't the thing to do, it almost gave me a flashback of that dream that had reoccurred for many years before that point.
And that's exactly what we're talking about, although it may actually not have meant what it felt like, okay?
Right.
Because there are also premonition dreams.
Right.
And you could have had a premonition dream.
Okay.
And a premonition dream or a cognizant dream is, of course, a prophetic thing, where you dream of an actual event. You have a premonition.
Okay.
And it's in actuality something that you've picked up on a timeline.
Okay.
That truly happens. Okay. So that might have been a premonition, or any way you cut it, it was the subconscious trying to give you
Get my attention,
warning.
yeah.
And that's why it's so important to pay attention to repetitious dreams, because it is trying to get something through to your conscious mind.
Yeah, and it did. It was disturbing enough to me that it would, when I would wake up that next morning with that dream, I would feel that sick feeling a little bit.
And see, that's a good point, because even though there are 7 different types of dreams that we'll talk about, but they each have a little bit of a different feeling.
Yes.
There's a little difference of energy to every one of them. So you have to like fine tune yourself.
And I guess that would be a nice barometer to kind of either read into it, or I just had bad
sensitive too.
Yeah, or I just had bad Chinese food, or I watched something on the news that disturbed me and it played into my role. So that would be a good barometer to a degree, would you say?
Well, yeah.
Kind of the feelings you get when you wake up.
Well, the feelings are just as important as the content.
Right, okay.
Actually, when, we tell people different ways they can start paying attention and journaling and what have you. But if a person cannot remember the content of the dream, we can all remember what we feel like when you wake up. Did you feel happy? Did you feel at peace? Were you disturbed? So the feeling is as important as the actual content. And some dreams are not even really dreams. There are a lot of out-of-body experiences. Unless you're on a dual consciousness where you're aware that you're having an out-of-body, the next morning it very often feels like a dream, when in reality it was an out-of-body experience or a past life memory that somebody is having. And then one of the most controversial kind of things is a parallel life, or more than one parallel lives that you can be leading. Okay, explain that, because that sounds a little foreign to me. So I'm sure some viewers would find that we're far out there. No, not that we're far out, but what does that mean? Really parallel, yeah. Well, there are timelines, and we know that scientifically it's been proven. We know there is a grid, so to speak, around the planet. Okay, and this grid is a timeline thing. Like some people think, Napoleon's still marching and and Rome still burning, and all the things that are actually something we read about in past or in history are occurring simultaneously as we're living in this life. Well, the same kind of situation with parallel lives, that you're leading completely different lives at the same time you're living this lifetime. Oh, so when I'm having dreams that I'm partying with rock stars, yes, exactly, I could be living I mean, because they know me by name. They know her. She signs autographs, everything. She does. But yeah, absolutely. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to step out on the limb a little bit here and tell you of a couple that I've been aware of. Okay. Now, at some point or another, it stopped. And I can't explain all of it. I'm not a physicist. However, in these parallel lives, I was always me. Okay, I wasn't anyone else. But I had different friends, different families, doing different things. Okay. And one in particular, where almost every night for years, I was working in this lumber yard. It wasn't like a glamorous, lifetime. As a female or male? I was a female. Okay. It was a family-run lumber yard, and I was working in it with the rest of the family, but people I didn't know, but it was my family. But you, and in your subconscious, you knew them as in this parallel life, I knew them as they were my family and worked in it. And then in this reality, I actually met someone at a wedding that was part of that experience, and once I met with this person, or we crossed paths, I never went there again. Interesting. Would you say, in what you experienced, would you say that going into that lumberyard experience was
an experience that was going on at that moment,
I went there every single night.
I know, but was it going on in present time or
present time?
Okay.
Present time.
And they were from the lumber yard?
This person and we just crossed paths. We had never seen one another before. I don't know if, they made the connection. This particular gentleman was moving with his wife away from the family-run lumberyard business and going back into a place where they actually wanted to live. But just through the conversation, I connected the dots.
Fascinating.
And I never went there again.
Fascinating. Well, and I can relate to that. When I seen the two men in the elevator, I never had the dream again.
Exactly.
So
okay.
I can understand that, and that's interesting, though.
Well, it's a great tool. Actually, we humans are given so many wonderful tools to guide us, but we don't listen.
Yes.
We don't
Back
listen.
to common sense and logic.
Well, because it is such a good tool, and they think it's something that isn't important in their life.
We get so robotic, and we get so on track with this program that doesn't even intertwine with reality.
Oh, yeah.
So, just paying attention.
But when you said reality, that's the problem. A lot of people think that's not real.
Right. They overthink it.
And the truth of the matter is it's probably more real than
right. Because if you sit down
doing.
and have a conversation with anybody, I don't care your belief system, your background,
right,
anything.
Everybody dreams.
Everybody dreams.
And in the best sleep we know of, and we know scientifically that we know the REM state, and we know people dream in the REM state because the eyelids move and the eyes, and they scientifically have proven that. But they also discovered that a platypus, actually this is when REM sleep state was first discovered, was through working with platypuses. Is that the right plural thing to say? Platypuses? Or is it platypudi? No, but a platypus, a mammal, who 250 million years ago there were platypuses, that were dreaming.
Well, if you watch your animals, you can see that they're, running, they're barking, they're doing something, they're having dreams.
Well, yes, you're exactly right, little doggies dreaming. But think about it, 250 million years ago, mammals actually were having dreams.
Well, I don't see, in my mind, I wouldn't see that would be a beginning or end type of experience that anything that God is.
Let us.
But I understand what you're saying. Right? Yeah, it's
amazing.
And the
way to train yourself actually is that if you keep a little notebook and a pen right by your bed, and the minute you wake up, because a dream is like that fast, right?
Right.
I mean, unless it's something that was kind of haunting, and it stays with you throughout the day or for days. Most normally, you forget them almost instantly when you wake up. So keep a pen and paper by your bed, jot down anything you can remember, color, what was going on, and if you can't remember the feeling, you know how you felt when you woke up, start jotting it down, and actually it begins to train the mind to have the memory of putting that down.
That is such an important point. I don't. But that's with anything in your life. If you start paying attention to it, writing things down, you will now become aware of everything. The way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you...
Yeah, but who's got time for all that?
No, but if you make a conscious effort just to be aware of it, like the dreaming, like waking up and just writing it down, then you can actually remember.
Well, Carl Jung, who's... like Freud, the father of psychiatry, but Carl Jung was beyond that even. He actually thought that we all have sub-personalities, and that in a dream that whoever you are projecting something you may not like onto another person in a dream is really you, unless it's a prophetic kind of a dream.
Okay.
So sub-personalities, meaning like the thief if you're dreaming this, the thief in your dream is you. The police that arrests the thief is another aspect of you.
Okay.
And that was his theory, that we project certain things onto these sub-personalities in a dream state, okay? Which would give a person tremendous insight to oneself, right?
Yes.
If it's something you don't like and you give it, yeah. If you pay attention.
If you pay attention, and you can also see the message in it.
Totally, the message, the guidance. There's also a supra-conscious, which I feel is guidance from above and beyond you. It's something of a higher nature. Guidance from the other side, guidance from your higher self, a higher consciousness. But those have a really different feel to them.
They do.
If you've experienced it. I know you have.
And I'm sure if anybody really thought about it, they've all experienced a form of the 7 types of dreams that you're talking about right now. We've experienced it, and just to put a identity to it, to say, okay, well, now I'm going to be more aware of that.
Absolutely. And there's fantasy dreaming or daydreaming or I
love the fantasy dreams.
Well, exactly. And in a fantasy dream, you don't limit yourself. You can daydream and have anything you want, because there's no limitation to it.
And those fantasy dreams always happen when you wake up real early, go back to sleep, and the alarm goes off, and you're like, don't know.
Well, actually, those are the better dreams.
Those are the ones
earlier in the night are normally with what you've heard and seen your soap opera dreams, and the other ones are, guiding you. But you can make a conscious effort, and we know this to be a fact. Like if you have a health issue, if you start like imagining yourself healthy or, correcting a situation, the power of the mind, what it can do. And we know that the atom, what's his name, Bourne, that discovered how the atom works, he actually dreamt it during a cat nap. Einstein used to do cat naps. Fantasy dreaming, you can, or just daydreaming, you can affect your entire being.
Well, and that's an interesting point in the fact that if you're looking for, like, the atom being discovered, or these discoveries that people have, you as a person are capable of having that next big thing if you listen to it.
I hope it's something other than Spanx. My Spanx are just...
Oh, my goodness. We're suffering behind this table.
Because in our Spanx.
We think we're fooling people with our skinniness.
Well, I was going to say Salvador Dali, a lot of the surrealists, the artists, that especially the surrealism, all dreamt it. A lot of the great music that's been written were heard in a dream state, in an altered consciousness. And,
And how sad would it have been if they didn't listen to it and didn't write it down?
Right, just poo-pooed it.
Yeah, just poo-pooed it. Exactly.
And just sloughed it off.
And I think that is really a big point to this show today, and all of our shows, is the common sense of just listening, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the messages you receive by whoever your higher self, higher power, whoever you want to say that is, your subconscious. Listen to your gut, listen to your mind, listen to your dreams.
All good tools.
Don't get crazy and overthink them, because you will know the difference in the feelings of what they bring you, like you said.
Every one of them has just a slight little different
feel to it. What feelings they bring you.
Well, and the trouble with dreams, though, is because they're very symbolic. Just about everything in a dream, unless it is a premonition of some kind, really, dreams are given to you in states of symbolism. So having a couple of good dream interpretation books is a must if you're going to start working with dreams as a guidance. And I only recommend 2. One of them is actually called, it's got a long title, The Mystical, Magical, Marvelous World of Dreams by Wilda Tanner. Great dream interpretation
book. I'll have
book.
to go get that one.
And it's a big fat one.
Okay.
And then
not.
there's a little skinny one. Oh no, it's worth it.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. And then there's a little skinnier one by Betty Berthard, and it's simply entitled The Dream Book.
Okay.
And most of the time I find everything in the big one, but occasionally I don't, and it'll be in the little one.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to make just a quick check. You know, if I'm out of time, just a quick check. Those two I like the best because just about every other dream book goes along with Freud, and you could dream about this cup of coffee, and Freud would say it had something to do with sex.
Okay.
Where the other, you know, he just
most men would agree with him.
Well, probably, yeah. But I like the other two because they seem to come of a different nature.
Okay.
And I've used them for years and have found them to be very accurate.
Okay. Well, and I'm sure if you have a reoccurring dream that upsets you or really gets your attention, or
you have to pay attention to that
if
one.
you know, so if that's the case, then that would be a good thing to refer to.
I'd say the reoccurring dreams are more than any of the others.
And I have
to pay attention to.
I've experienced that, so that's
well. And how smart you were. Now, see, in your dream state, you altered that complete happening by saying no.
Yes.
I'm not coming into the elevator.
Yeah.
And you changed the whole reality of what if
where my life
happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't going to be a good thing.
No, and we could go on and on because
Yeah.
there's so much to talk about the different things you can create and do and follow. I mean, we could do a whole 3-4 hour show on just
But
dreams.
I think we're now down to 30 seconds.
Oh my God, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't
Yes.
it? And that's
what
we're
talking
talking
about.
about.